Boys being chosen in the family household over girls in terms of whom I'm going to invest in their education. That's still practice, even though it's not necessarily too evident. You'll see parents more willing to pay for extracurricular activities for boys than for girls.
What happens is that if you have two children, for example, traditionally you are aware that my girl child would be married and would be married to the other family. You would find that the traditional reasoning has usually been, let's educate the one that we will stay, which is the boy child in that case. Because when we educate the girl child, it's like we're empowering the other family. So the best is let's educate the boy child. We would call it traditional for security purposes because the boy child will always be with us. Meanwhile, in a way, we'll kind of lose out on the girl child because she would be married. Okay. So because of that, again, educationally speaking, the girl child becomes a disadvantage.
You find that the parents would want to make money out of their girl child. When they marry that child off, then they are given something, because in Africa, or maybe in particular in Zambia, when a girl child is married off, then the parents are given maybe some cows or even money. So they would rather accept the money, and then the girl child will stop going to school. Connected to maybe marriage, maybe when the girl child gets pregnant, they feel shy or ashamed to attend school because they are laughed at by their fellow pupils. And due to that shyness, then they tend to drop out of school.
Teenage pregnancy is very high in the country in general, but mostly in this type of communities, the rural communities. And of course, abortion would be an effect of teenage pregnancy, and even death. It's not legal here to have an abortion, so we will have this done by not certified practitioners, or maybe by themselves. In some cases, by the time they get to the hospital, it's too late. And a school dropout will affect girls more than boys when it has to do with teenage pregnancy, because the girls will be the ones who carry with the burden of having a baby. Sometimes boys are not even affected in the sense that they're gone with their lives. These girls remain at home with mom or grandma. In some cases, they're even kicked out of the home, so they cannot continue schooling.
In terms where a girl child has been impregnated by the boy child, both of them are sent out of school until such a time when both of them need to re-enter the school system again. Okay, so they are given like more or less like what you'd call a maternity leave, and they believe that it's both their responsibility, and there should be no one who should be disadvantaged. Currently, what has happened is that government has introduced a policy of what they call the re-entry policy. A girl child is pregnant, they may go back, deliver, and after some time, they might still more be given a place in school to start wherever they might have stopped from. Okay. And in the past, that was it. If you got pregnant, that was it for the rest of your life. But then this time they're saying, no, these are children, they're still learning, and would want also to give them a second chance. There have been other children that were impregnated, they delivered, and they went back to school, and they also did well.
One girl who was on a re-entry policy, she got pregnant when she was in grade 8. She went on leave, then came back to school. She was doing quite well. Right now, as I'm speaking, she's doing teaching as well.
Also, being a Christian organization and being administrators of mission schools, we also engage the school PTA, that's Parents Teachers Association, as well as the chiefs in these issues so that at least those girls are brought back in school. Since we believe in grace and also in giving a second chance.
We normally sit down with them. We got an office for guidance and counseling. They learn and focus on education, and have a brighter future ahead of them. They come back to school, they finish their grade 12. After that, they even go to colleges.
In the past, they would be kicked out of the school, but there has been legislation that now protects girls. They can continue going to school even being pregnant, but there is a lot of stigma and they end up dropping out of school, or because they have to work and provide for themselves and their kids. Even though there is laws protecting them, they end up affecting their future in that sense. Here you have girls doing better in school than boys. You have a higher rate of dropout in boys than girls. Boys tend to drop out after 8th grade more than girls. Mostly it's poverty related. They have to work. Some girls do also drop out of school because of need to work to provide for their families, but it's higher in boys. But the effects of dropping out of school is harsher on girls than boys, because boys still can go and get a job and girls won't have the same chance. Let's say when they go out and trying to get a job, we have more girls unemployed than boys. In many cases, girls complete high school, but then because they cannot go to college, they've resolved to just find a man as a way to have economical security. We need to give girls a choice. You don't need a man to make it in life. You actually can move on with your education. Get into marriage when you think it's the right time for you.
Most of the challenges that are there are mostly to do with finances, because you'd find that most of their parents, they're not working. So most of them, they're farmers. They're girls, they need sanitary pads.
Some of the difficulties is that some of us, we come from the villages, so for our parents to afford the school materials, it's really difficult.
The other thing is that some of us, we don't have enough money to buy sanitary pads, right, which it makes us to be absent.
When we come to bathrooms and hygiene, our girl children again have lost many days out of school. For example, because we do not have proper hygiene facilities, some girls, when they are having their menstrual period, they would rather not come to school. They might lose out 4 days in a month. Our terms here are 3 months and then you go for break. That means 3 times 4 in a term. That means a girl child loses about 12 days. In a year, a child loses about 36 days just because of this natural issue with the girl child.
In the poor communities, these girls sometimes don't have the means to buy them, so they will stay home during their period.
Number one, they will be working at home, helping with some chores. But in addition to that, they are supposed to also move a lot of kilometers from their homes to their schools. And what has happened is that they reach school also while they are tired. And in the evenings as well, or in the afternoons, they are supposed to go back working again. So this becomes a load on the girls' shoulders, such that you would find that when they reach maybe grade 6 and 7, some of them would already start dropping down because of that. The boys, on the other hand, may continue to go to school. We still also have a good number of dropouts because of that, but we know that the girls are most affected. The other thing coupled to that is that at times you'd find that along the way, because people know that the girls will be moving on the way, either men or indeed even their fellow school children who are the boys might also take advantage of them on the way because they know parents are very far. and teachers are very far. And then the distance between the school and their homes becomes, in a way, I would say, very disturbing to most of the girls. And you'd find that at times, girls have been impregnated when they are just maybe in grade 6 or grade 7.
In terms of distance in the country, as I said, it used to be a problem where kids will have to walk for an hour or two to get to school. I would say that's very rare right now. That will apply more to college education. In many cases, girls cannot attend college because of distance, and they have no money to pay for transportation or even for books.
In Zambia recently, there's been a saying that educating a girl child means educating the whole family and also the whole country. What they mean is that we need, in a way, to support more of the girl children, because when they have an opportunity to be educated and to even have a job, we know for sure that they will be responsible enough to take care of their families.
Development agencies, and I have been working in development for the last 30 years, we always say, let's invest more in women, because women tend to invest most of their income in their family, while men would only invest a percentage and keep the rest for their own entertainment. To drink, to gamble, you would see that attitude less in women. They are also more involved in community activities. They volunteer more. Impact of investing in girls as a way of fighting inequality, it's a good choice, but also as a way to impact the whole community.
Over the years, girls' rights have been stepped on, more especially in Africa, to be specific, in Zambia. And so we believe that when a girl child is educated, they'll be able to stand up for their rights. These same girls, when they are educated, then they will be role models for other girls to be educated. In most cases, these girls here in Zambia have been vulnerable, and they've been looked down upon to be inferior to men. But when they are educated, they will know their rights and they will be able to stand up for their rights.
The culture hasn't really integrated the idea of girls being equal to boys. Everything is looked from the perspective of men. Out in our country, that's more evident. Girls are not seen as equal, so they have less opportunities to access good quality education that will equip them to actually be as successful as men. So there is a lot of education to be done. We need to invest more in sexual education so girls understand more about sexuality and how to protect themselves, avoid pregnancies, and also sexually transmitted diseases, because that will impact the rest of their life.
The question is, how do we respond then to helping the girl child? I know also even the boy child. So as an organization, what we have been doing then in our schools is that we've been looking for resources so that we can make what we call weekly boarding facilities. So we talked about the distance, but we also talked about the chores and the number of disturbances on the way, and just with the whole life of a girl child. We said, I think the best way would be to offer the hostels to these children, where they would come to school and spend most of the time in the school environment, away from the distance, away from the house chores at homes, and so on, so that they can concentrate on their studies. And we have seen that this has been very helpful to many of the girls. Is that within the girls, there's what they call the dorm prefect, who is chosen amongst the girls to look at the affairs of the girls. If there are troubles, this prefect can quickly run and see the matron. Usually the matron, as I said earlier, is one of the chosen amongst the teachers, amongst the female teachers. And usually at times, even her house is strategically built near the hostel. so that in case there's anything, either at night or during the day, the matron is supposed to respond as quickly as possible to any challenge that the girls are facing.
You find that the dorms that we have in these schools, they are not enough. Each dorm, the standard or the normal number of pupils that are supposed to be there is 48 pupils in each dorm. But you find that there are maybe 80 plus pupils in one dormitory. And that makes it difficult for them to have enough sleeping space. The bathrooms are also not enough. So in trying to be maybe the first one to bath, they wake up as early as maybe 4, and class maybe is at 7 hours. So in terms of time, it becomes difficult for them.
We actually have 2 medical clinics or checkup centers, and the primary focus is education, is preventive health, because these communities, these villages, even though they're not too far away from the city, people don't have access to medical services and orientation or care for common diseases that affects the whole family, the children in schools. They have issues with pure water, skin health. Related to girls specifically, of course, the skin problems, rash and things, and fungus, girls will get a lot of vaginal infection, and that was tied to the water and cleanliness. They use latrines instead of toilets in the community, and sometimes the hygiene of those latrines are not proper. And of course, it will affect girls more than boys. HIV/AIDS, it's a big problem in the region. So I know a lot of the education they give is about sexually transmitted diseases, their own development, understanding when their bodies are changing, menstruation, how to take proper care of yourself, pregnancy prevention. There is a lot of education about sexual harassment, because that is kind of something girls suffer a lot, because it's a very macho culture. Sometimes old men would harass young girls and sometimes even be abused. And then if you get sick, how to recognize certain diseases and what to do, when to get medical care.
What's your favorite subject?
RI and English. My favorite subject, biology and mathematics.
Did you hear that I was a biology teacher?
After finishing school, I want to go to college to go and study medicine.
Awesome. Good for you.
I would like to go at the college and do teaching.
Do you want to teach little kids or big kids?
Secondary.
Secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the hope is there, except it might be happening at a slow pace, but I think one step is better than none.